Hello, everyone. Sarah Barker with Connect Our Elders, and today is another episode of the Empowering Aging podcast. Huge thank you to our sponsor, Retirement Genius, all things alternative funding solutions for private pay care. Please bear with me. I know none of you guys have actually ever heard me sound this way. It is the first time I've ever lost my voice before, but today's episode is so important that we just had to move forward and do this. So without further ado, I am super excited to have Jill Cassiani, the owner of Archangels Home Care and a brand new Connector Elders owner in Wisconsin. Jill, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So Jill, could you tell us a bit about what led you to start your home care company, Archangels?
Well, back in between 2002 and 2005, I worked with my father in his business, which was about his assisted living communities. And we had 12 assisted living communities throughout the state of Wisconsin and Illinois. And in 2005, he decided to retire for the first time. He will he'll have a big birthday this week, and he continues to work. So, but anyway, in the meantime, I was researching home care. And because working in assisted living, that was one of the things that people had always talked with us about, is the importance of wanting to possibly stay in their home if they could. So while I was researching that, I decided to open my own home care agency, and that was in June of 2005.
Wonderful. And so it sounds like, well, I can tell based on what you're telling me about your dad, the fact that he's still working, I can see so much of him in you and the amount of time we've known each other. So,
right.
So what exactly is the geographic area that Archangels Home Care covers?
We covered the Fox Valley area, so Outagamie, Calumet, Winnebago, and then the Green Bay area, Brown, Shawano County, Wapaka County. And quite honestly, as long as the service area, we have caregivers that are available in the service area, we should be able to service. So Stevens Point, Wausau, basically because we don't necessarily have to own a territory, because we are a private company. We're not held or owned by any corporation.
Right. You're independently owned, so you
Correct.
have way more flexibility to serve people.
Correct.
So I also think something that's very unique about your home care agency is that you do have a Medicaid contract. So not only can you serve people private pay, right? People that do have some assets and don't qualify for Medicaid, right? But you can also still provide services to those who maybe are financially less fortunate. And I think that that's a big differentiator for you guys.
Right. We actually work directly with the managed care organizations. So we're contracted through the managed care organizations, whom are contracted through the counties. So we actually have contracts and agreements with them to be able to provide the services to those that are maybe a little bit less fortunate, that aren't able to pay it privately. And they'll still be able to get some of the care needs that they actually need to remain in their home safely.
Right. I find often when it comes to agencies that have these types of contracts, sometimes in the community or the referral sources, they get pigeonholed and people start thinking that that's all they do, and they can forget that they actually take private pay clients as well. Right. And so I do want to make sure that the audience knows that you can service the entire spectrum.
Absolutely. I mean, not even, besides even working with the managed care organizations or private pay, there's the VA benefits, which is huge, of course, as you know, long-term care insurance, and working with long-term care. And that's still kind of a newer product that we're servicing now. I mean, we may know more about it in the past 5 to 10 years. But in that population, there's very few, but there are more and more that are coming up that are needing to help with aging in place or home care, or even placement care. That working with long-term care insurance is definitely something that is a good product.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And sometimes I've noticed over the years, the families, even if they have a long-term care insurance policy, which I've never met with a family when the time comes, they didn't say, oh, I wish mom and or dad had this. But they may have the paperwork, but they still need that help navigating how can we go ahead and activate this benefit, basically. So
Absolutely.
you mentioned VA. And
Mhm.
I want to make sure that our audience knows, if they didn't already see the announcement on social media, that you guys took the statement of support with the employer support of the Guard and Reserve, which basically is saying that you desire to be a veteran-friendly employer, that you actively want to provide job opportunities to our reserve service members. So I just wanted to make sure that I publicly acknowledged that and thanked you for that.
Yes, absolutely. We're excited about that. Trisha's really working directly with the gentleman that stopped by. I think his name was Jerry.
Mhm.
And he, yeah, so she's working directly with him to help get that word out that we're in this area and we're in these areas, and give us a call.
I think it's beautiful because not only, being a veteran myself, but providing, I know from experience talking to soldiers, they don't know that this industry exists, right? And so if they know that these job opportunities are available, which, as we know, with the caregiver shortage, there are plenty of jobs available in this industry.
Right.
But imagine if you get that elder veteran client, and then you can match them up with your veteran employee. It's that beautiful match, right? Where they have that natural affinity for one another.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the flexibility with the schedule for home care or any type of caregiving type care, the flexibility to be able to work in that type of environment speaks volumes. I mean, whether you're a mom that's a veteran and you're having to get done at 3 o'clock, you can really take that flexible schedule and run with it with your family. Or even with you, for instance, when you go out on your service calls and are on your calls, that you have that flexibility as well.
Exactly. And so in the Army National Guard or the Air Guard, you do have many people who are college students as well. So they're needing that flexible type of schedule, that part-time work. And what I like so much about it, and I'm so proud of you guys for following through and doing this, is that if you look at just how they're trained, right? Be on time all the time, being professional, being self-motivated. So anyway, I'm really, really excited to see the results of this over time.
Yes. Us as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's move forward to the big announcement, because
Big
that's what
news.
today's podcast. But I wanted to make sure everybody had some context about your background and what you've been doing for the last 18 years. So now, as of yesterday, it was publicly announced that you are an owner of Connector Elders. So would you mind sharing with the audience what your journey has been that made you decide to add this to your service offerings?
Yeah, absolutely. While we go into the homes of our potential clients, obviously I'm an advocate for home care. However, there are some times where home care might not just be the right fit. And as we currently are doing in helping these families navigate through some things, there's not a lot of things that they're aware of or educated on. And so for the past several months, I've been trying to educate myself a little bit more on what's out there for these types of services. And then when you and I had gotten into contact, I really felt like the integrity of Connector Elders and yourself ethically was what aligned, what makes this a good connection for us. I mean, for me, actually, personally. So when I started Connector Elders, or decided to start Connector Elders, it was basically because there was that need, that void that needed to be filled, and in all of the areas, in all aspects, because just to educate and empower seniors and their families to make the best decision. I don't want to say the right decision, but the best decision for what their needs will be.
Mm-hmm. And oftentimes the best decision. It may not, and unfortunately, it may not be exactly the situation that they want or the choice they want, because we have to take into consideration the financial picture as well.
Right.
But being able to be there for them and have those very vulnerable conversations about what do you want. Now we've got to address the financial picture and let's navigate to get you the best possible situation with all factors considered.
Right. And exactly. That's what we're here to do. We're here to assist and navigate through all those difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, making that well-informed and recommendation to the families and their loved one so that it is the best fit.
So Jill, you have this wonderful lady on staff with you who is helping you to spearhead this new endeavor.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with the audience about Trisha?
Yeah, Trisha actually, Trisha Paiser, she has been working in the senior care industry now, oh my goodness, probably for about 12 or 15 years, right around there. And we have been friends for about that long. And she actually, it took me a while to rope her in to come and work for me. And I mean, every single time she's like, not yet, not yet. So about 4 years ago, she came and she started working with me with Archangels, and she has the biggest heart. She's in this for all the right reasons. And I'm so glad that she's here to help build this business in order to educate and empower our communities.
And I am so impressed with her. I'm so impressed with both of you, because since we started this process of onboarding, I mean, you guys are on top of it, right? Completing the assignments that are part of the onboarding, but also Trisha and you proactively getting out there and scheduling meetings already, so that way we can get the word out that you're able to assist the elders in your community on a much higher level now.
Yes, absolutely. We do. And so if you haven't gotten a call from me yet, from Trisha, you will be. So we want to make sure and to get the word out. And then, of course, similar to this podcast with you, Sarah, we are going to start our own video podcast so that we are going to be able to have professionals on here talking whether it's talking about financial advisory, estate law, funeral trusts, funeral preparations, VA benefits, some of the county dementia specialists on. We actually have a plethora. Talking with our local police departments and having them come on and talking about how important it is to protect our seniors from fraud. There's so much of that going on, as we know. So we are going to start that ourselves. And we have been overjoyed by the reception that we're having with the communities, with our colleagues. I mean, everybody's just been so supportive, and yeah, we're excited.
I've seen that, of course, with any, because we're in this new together. You are the first Connect Your Elders location outside of what I've been doing. And so, there's always this bit of anxiety of, okay, how is this going to be received? Crossing your fingers and praying. Okay.
Right.
And so it's really validating, I think, for you guys. It's validating for me, which I'm grateful to those in your community that are supporting you so much. So the podcast, right? That's optional for new Connect Your Elders to do. And you're choosing to do it, which is very exciting, because the way that Connect Your Elders started was all about, we have a significant gap in direct to consumer education.
Yes.
Because Jill, by the time a family makes their way to us, they don't know what their options are, how the options are paid for, right? That typical confusion between home health and home care, right?
Yeah. Hospice and palliative. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, not that we are experts in every single area. We don't have to be, because we have those relationships with people in certain areas that we can highlight on the podcast to get that education out there. And so that's why the tagline is empowering aging. And we empower aging through providing that direct to consumer education.
Absolutely. For years, Archangels, we had tried to have some like lunch and learns at the senior centers, and working together with whether it was a hospice agency or a home care agency doing therapies, whether it's, whoever it was at the time to partner to educate, whether it was a financial advisor to educate. And we did very well for many, many years, had a good turnout. And things have evolved in the last few years, more so where it's generated and more easily accessible via social media or YouTube, and that's just obviously the way the future is going. I think we could reach the masses better.
We can reach the masses. There's no reason why those in-person lunch and learns or the in-services cannot still take place.
Right.
But to increase the reach, definitely utilizing social media. And we know our seniors are on social media, Facebook, which is another reason why we need to bring educators on to talk about avoiding scams.
Right.
When they get targeted on the social media. But
right. Absolutely.
And also the education amongst ourselves. So that has been some feedback from the podcast, is that, let's say we have somebody on there educating about hospice. Well, other people on the continuum of care find that content valuable as well, right? So it's an education for all of us.
Oh, I'm always learning. And I mean, always.
ABL, always be learning.
Always be learning.
So, Jill, as a reminder for the audience, because there's other people that have tuned in now, what is the geographic area that you cover with Connect Our Elders?
Pretty much the same area that we do with Archangels. So it would be the Green Bay, Brown County, Appleton, Outagamie, Calumet, Winnebago, Wapaka County, Shawano County, and Portage, Wausau, Stevens Point, that whole geographical area.
And how can somebody reach out to you if they're wanting, or maybe they have a pressing need right now and they think, Jill, I need your help. I'm going through something.
Yeah.
Or what I encourage people, start researching it, start understanding your options, start talking to Jill now, right? Before a crisis happens. So how can they contact you?
Right. You can call the number, which is 920-750-4246. Yep. Thought I had that memorized, and I did. So I double checked myself. So 920-750-4246. Or you could email, whether it's my email, jcassiani@connectourelderswi.com, or at info@connectourelderswi.com.
Fantastic. So, Jill, what are some of the reasons, so people listening or when they watch this recording, what are some of the reasons or red flags, right, that they should recognize, okay, I need to reach out to Jill and or Trisha, right? I need to have a conversation.
Right. Of course, memory issues, forgetfulness, taking medications is a big one. Poor hygiene, major illness, improper nutrition, help with transportation, help with hygiene, all those things, I mean, and the holidays are a big time. A lot of people that live out of state and come visit mom or dad, and they see that, wow, all these changes and these shifts and what happened with mom in the course of the last 6 months or what have you. Those are some major ones.
What about, absolutely, those are all key indicators that it's time for a conversation. What about if somebody has a loved one who is currently receiving home care services in their home, but they're starting to matter of fact, just had a client where the hours decreased because the adult children started saying, wow, this maybe isn't sustainable. But the needs are still at the same level and probably going to increase. And so, can somebody reach out to you even if they're receiving home care services from another agency, but they need to start looking at placement into a community?
Absolutely. That's when we would step in as Connect Our Elders and do the 6-step process. We would come in, obviously, if you're not working directly with Archangels, or even if you're just taking care of your loved one at the time, Obviously, supportive spousal care in their, whether it's the neighbor or the spouse that's, getting burned out, and home care and coupled with, the care that you're receiving from a loved one isn't enough. We would come in and do a complimentary assessment. We would educate the families on what's available out there, make the appropriate recommendations like you had talked about before. We will really kind of get into all of it, of financial and everything, and what the appropriate recommendations would be. And then of course we help assist in making that decision with the families so they don't feel alone. And then we're not just giving them, oh, here's a list of providers. We will be walking with those families and with that person through the whole process. And then of course, following up, we're always going to be here, whether it's something of a need that is even ongoing after you get into that facility.
Exactly. The ongoing advocacy. And so I think it's important to also make sure that we do this clarification for the audience, because I often receive, and I'm sure you will as you grow with Connect Our Elders, oh, so you're a care manager. No. No. Connect Our Elders is not doing care management.
No.
If we recognize that there is a need for a higher level of healthcare advocacy, medication management, any of those things that a care manager does, what we do at Connect Our Elders is we will refer to a care manager.
Absolutely.
We are sort of just this third-party advocate who is there to educate and to facilitate these connections.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
So we have a comment here. I can't see who it is. And so if you're still watching, please feel free to share your name. Such great topics, so many issues that seniors have to deal with in today's society, especially issues they face and don't talk to anyone about them, friends, family, or caregivers.
Yes, we hear that a lot. We get that a lot.
Absolutely.
The fear of the unknown, the fear of what's going to happen to me if I even say I am having a hard time or I'm afraid to shower, or I'm having a hard time standing at the stove to cook a meal, or I'm forgetting to take my medications. It's this fear of the unknown of what's going to happen. And the fact is that when those things come together with the assistance, whether it's home care or moving into some type of a community or whatever it is that's in their best interest, that when those things start to turn around and the health starts to turn around.
It does, right? I mean, clearly if it's a terminal diagnosis or, just aging in general. But what we can do is work towards some improvements in the current state, right? Quality of life, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of right? And so I find that having done the Connect Our Elders work, which you and Trisha are going to be doing, our number one goal when somebody sends a family to us or the person reaches out directly is to reduce the overwhelm and the stress and let them know that we're there, right? And that we will help guide and help be that advocate, right?
Absolutely.
So let's touch a little bit more on that and how that piece works, right? So if we're dealing with a family, one of the biggest benefits for providers to partner with us, so whether it's a care manager, a senior move company, I don't know, some sort of alternative funding solution, if it's an outside home care company, because we remain the advocate, if there starts to be friction between the client and one of our providers, we can then step up and say, let's do a care conference, and we can do everything we can to mend that. So that way we keep the client on our provider services if we can, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So being that facilitator for both sides.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
So Jill, what types of people are you looking to connect with? I know you already know a bunch of people in your operating territory, but what are some other types of professionals that you would like to connect with?
Well, of course, we're always looking at the skilled facilities, therapists, social workers, even clergy, and funeral directors and financial planners, estate attorneys. I'm trying to think what else.
I'm going to say CPAs because
CPAs. Yeah, there you
all
go.
the time talking about how many in our industry don't think about CPAs, but they've been very good connections for me.
Absolutely. And probably at their busiest right now.
Yes. Yes. So wait until after tax.
I'll wait till after April.
Yeah,
CPAs. That's another good one, right? Elder estate attorneys. I think I may have mentioned that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you guys you have relationships with the communities, the senior living communities in your area. But for any that might be listening, or if this video gets shared, I know you guys are looking to establish a relationship with as many as possible.
Absolutely. Yep. And the assisted living communities and throughout all of the cities that we are in, the CBRFs, like I said, the skilled facilities, the therapy locations. Yep.
Fantastic.
To name a few.
Jill, do you have any final comments or thoughts about this new endeavor that you're on? I mean, you've had home care for 18 years, but now kind of being Connect Our Elders owner, advisory level referral agency, and you're coming at it from the right place, right? You want to be that overall advisor for families. So do you have any final thoughts or comments you'd like to share with the audience?
Coming from the working in the senior care industry for over 20 years, I kind of was thinking about that this morning. The one thing that I think for me, in having this complement what we've already been doing for this long, I feel that we've built trust, and we work with impeccable ethics that and it shows because of the overwhelming response that we're getting from all of the professional resources that we work with already. They have been so supportive and so enthusiastic about this service coming on board that it just drives us more to want to again educate the communities on those professional resources and help to advocate for the seniors and their families on behalf of all of those resources. And so that, to me, wrapping up, I guess, builds off of my enthusiasm as well. And yeah, we're very excited.
I am so excited for what 2023 has to bring. And thank you for being in this journey with me.
Thank you.
I'm super grateful. Okay, so one last time, Jill, how can people, if they want to learn more about your home care services through Archangels, or specifically they would like to connect with you because of Connect Our Elders and Empowering Aging, how can they contact you?
The number to contact for Connect Our Elders is 920-750-4246. Or you can email at info@connectourelderswi.com. And our website is www.connectourelderswi.com.
Fantastic. Jill, so excited. Thank you for being my guest today. I can't wait to start doing your own Empowering Aging podcast.
Yeah.
Big thanks again to our sponsor, Retirement Genius, my good friend, Chris Orestes, all things alternative funding solutions to pay for private care. Jill, again, thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Thank you, Sarah.